everyone, welcome back to Indie Hunters, where I talk about indie games I really love or really hate. Despite what the thumbnail may look like, this is not a porn game. I want to start off by saying that. I picked this game up last year as part of the Humble Bundle. Don't remember what month it was, but I do remember looking at the thumbnail for this game and thinking, this is very strange. Humble Bundle has never accidentally put adult content in any of the bundles, as far as I've been a subscriber. Never seen that happen. I was right. It wasn't. Surprise. It's actually a good game. And really just looking at the gameplay, I don't think you can really blame me. When I first started the game up, this was last year when I was still streaming regularly on Twitch every day, and I just played a little bit on my own first just to make sure that I didn't get any strikes for showing booba on stream. Seeing that I am not an attractive young woman, the rules don't really get to bend for me. I have no part in this hot tub meta that's currently dominating Twitch, so just check this game out.
The story behind Neoverse is simple, as most of these games are. All you really need is a reason why your hero is doing what they're doing, and generally, just having a setting is good enough. The story behind this game is that humanity at one point eventually reaches a point where everything is good. It's just all peachy, everybody's having a grand time, and the universe is explored and settled, things are great. It's a literal utopia, but you know how people are. We want more. So they found a way to transcend the universe and break time and space, and oops, they broke time and space. Reality is constantly changing, nothing is certain, and the best that people can do is try and survive and make their way through the universe one step at a time. I gotta be honest, I was interested in playing this game before I even knew what the game was about. There I was looking at my Humble Bundle and thinking to myself, wait a second, there must be some mistake. Humble Bundle, you seem to have accidentally placed adult content in my charity shovelware monthly subscription box. And then I actually looked at it and I'm like, oh hey, this is pretty cool, there's an actual game to this adult content. Well, good news and bad news. Bad news, this is an adult game, it's just using horny bait to get you to play. Good news, it's actually a really good game. This is your usual deck builder game, and it's actually really fleshed out. There's 3 characters that have names, and at the time of writing this, I don't really remember them. Their names are really not important because they don't really have characters. They just have designs and card pools, and they're more classes than actual characters. Although, just for you, I did decide to look them up before going back and writing this review. You've got Sword and Pistol, catsuit wearing Agent Naya. You've got Healy, Vampire-y, Holy Paladin Claire, and you've got the free-to-play MMO goddess, Summon Lady. What was her name? Helena. Yes. When you select your characters, you can pick one of these 3 starting decks to take with you, plus an ever-changing daily deck. These decks are all cards pulled from the same massive pools available to each character, and they're diverse enough that you can actually tell the difference between them. Each character has their own pool of cards to choose from. Naya has a lot of basic attack and shooting cards, and they deal damage over time with a radioactivity effect. She also has other cards that create more cards for endless chains of dealing damage. But she also has to be careful because her many cards have powerful effects, and those powerful effects also give her stacks of overheat, which add garbage junk cards to your hand that take up space in your deck, and they require you to take damage in order to get rid of them. She's my personal favorite character to play with, and she's the only one I've beaten the final super secret hidden boss. If you have a problem with me saying there's a super secret hidden final boss, please don't at me in the comments section. This really shouldn't be a spoiler for you. You've played video games before. Now, Paladin Claire is a character who has a lot of good mechanics to work with, but for some reason I struggle to play as her. I don't know why, I literally can't explain it, I just do. She has a lot of cool mechanics that revolve around her healing herself and stacking armor, or alternatively, healing herself and ignoring stacking armor in place of just kicking lots of ass. Punishment is an effect that she has. It acts like thorns in other games where it returns damage equal to the amount of punishment you have, but unlike other games, the effect only goes off once. She can get the vampiric status, and that heals Claire every time she deals damage with an attack card equal to her vampire stacks, but they go down every time she attacks. Then there's Faith, which heals her and adds a big boy God's Answer card to your hand that can do one of 4 things: healing, granting armor, granting punishment, or dealing damage. And last up is Helen, who I admit I haven't played a lot of. There's nothing wrong with her, it's not like she's not fun to play, it's just that I spent so much time playing as Naya that the other 2 girls kinda got sidetracked. She's a summoner who can summon one of 3 guardians: the Lions, who attacks the enemy of the lowest HP when you attack or end your turn, the Dragon, who deals damage to all enemies whenever you play an instant card or end your turn, and the Griffin, who gives you armor whenever you play a defense card or as you end your turn. It's pretty simple, and you can see how this would kind of lead you to make your deck around focusing on one of these guardians, but remember, you can only have one of them active at a time. And even if they are active, they still need the command buff in order to use their abilities, so when you're making your deck with her, try to remember that you just don't want the cards that proc their effects, you also want to make sure you have plenty of stacks of command. In addition, you want to make sure that you keep cards that summon your guardians in your deck, because even if you don't plan on switching them out, which you definitely should at some point during your runs, but if you summon the same guardian twice, they become empowered, and then they use twice the stacks of command, but the effects are twice as strong. Okay, that's enough talking about the girls. Let's talk about the actual gameplay. In general, the gameplay is similar to Slay the Spire. You've got cards that do the things, and the enemies tell you what they do before they do it. You get cards and money for winning fights, and you get to pick what sort of fight you want to go to once you're done with a battle. It's all very standard, but there are a lot of variations on the formula in Neoverse that set it apart from others in the genre. For starters, whenever you select what fight you want to go into next, you can usually choose between elite fights and normal fights. The difficulty and the rewards scale appropriately. That's pretty standard. But in addition to those rewards, each fight also gives you a quest that gives you a reward whenever you complete that quest and fulfill those conditions. These sorts of rewards can be anything from removing cards and gaining upgrade cards, all the way to increasing your maximum energy each turn or raising your max HP. Also, unlike other games, in Neoverse you can access the shop whenever you want to, even if that means you're buying cards. They just get added straight to your deck in the middle of a battle. Each character also has a skill board you can spend skill gens on that you gain through battle in order to gain new passive bonuses. But something interesting that I noticed after a few runs is that the board is randomized every single time. In order to get the most powerful skills, you have to buy an entire row or column of these skills, so you've got to decide in advance if that skill is worth the investment in the rest of these skills that you need to unlock it. And the fact that it's randomized adds a little bit more strategy, meaning that there's no optimized way to do this. There's so much more that I really don't have the time to get into if I want to keep this review sort of even reasonably short, so I'm just going to leave you with one final thing. There is benefit to precision in your damage. Now, if you do the exact amount of damage that you need in order to kill an enemy, you gain a gold bonus. And in addition to that, if an enemy attacks you and you have the exact amount of armor that you need in order to block it, it's called parry, and then they get stunned for their next turn. It's pretty rad, and you can really mess yourself up if you do it wrong, but if you do it right, it's perfect. It's so worth it in the end. I guess to kind of summarize this whole point about how the game is similar but different, there's a lot of changes to the formula that work really well and make it better, that make it stand apart from the rest. I have things to say about the aesthetic of this game. It's good. It's good. Everything looks really good. It's a visually stunning game. I have some questions about the origin of these assets. I've never seen these characters before, and the fact that there are multiple DLC outfits for them makes me think that these are original, especially considering how charismatic these models are. The rest of the characters in this game I'm not so sure about, like the enemies. If you look at them, the girls are shiny and smooth and flawless, and the monsters are gritty and realistic, and so are the backgrounds, and I wonder if these monsters and backgrounds were taken from somewhere else or they're bought in packs as assets. The studio that made this game is a Korean indie dev studio, and Neoverse is their only game so far, so they probably didn't have a lot of money to work with. So, to be clear, I don't have a problem with the company using any assets that aren't custom made by them. That's just smart business. That's savvy for a small studio to flip assets like this. I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain. I mentioned at the beginning of the review, this game looks like a porn game, and to be completely honest, that's not just because these look like hentai characters. Between the vignette and the blurry draw distance on the horizon, the way that the buildings look and the objects in the background, they have this sort of crusty look to them, and it's strangely familiar to me. It specifically looks like a porn game I've played in the past, and I don't know if the reason it looks like that is because I just subconsciously feel like that because of the way that, you know, the design choices that were made, or maybe I'm just, you know, imagining it, and now I'm actually kind of just rambling about a porn game and outing myself as a coomer. The game looks good. I'm just going to move on from there. I don't know what else to say.
Neoverse is a good game. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a good game. I could probably start talking about the developer a bit. So I looked up online the developer. I looked at their Twitter to see. I was curious to see if there's any news for a sequel or more updates along the way. So I looked at their Twitter. It's all Korean. I don't know what any of that means, so I'm just gonna move on. But I did go to their website. I figured there'd be something else on their website. Their website is basically just an advertisement for Neoverse, and it's a bunch of pictures and talks about how cool the game is. So I don't know if there's ever going to be anything else from these guys. I don't know if they were just like, you know, a one-hit kind of thing and they got broken up, or maybe they got bought by somebody else. I don't know. I did the most basic search I could for them. I didn't really investigate that deep. I'm not an investigator guy. I'm a guy who's trying to justify his crippling video game addiction. So anyways, if you guys like this video, like this review, just, you know, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you want to see more. I've got more coming, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.